Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf. I think we'll kickstart the class. We're about 11 minutes early, but we got some people in the room. Okay. So, can everybody hear me? That is great. Okay. So, brilliant. Shabbat Shalom to all the rabbis in the room. Rabbi Kefa, Shabbat Shalom to you over there at the other end. In Texas, Shabbat Shalom to you, Rabbi Zachariah. And Shabbat Shalom to the rest of the Mishpacha family members in the room. Okay, so as you are most of you are aware that today begins the Gadol Shabbat Shalom. Basically, it's the start of the festival of Yom Sukkot. So as today we are in day 1, day 2, etc. to day 8, and then we're also going to have 2 days of Simchat Torah in the diaspora, which is outside of Israel. In Israel, it's celebrated 1 day. Outside of Israel, it's celebrated 2 days. So that will be at the end of the festival. So those of you who want to know what you're doing, there are prayers, Torah portion readings that are in the Siddur, Forever-Israel Siddur. You'll find them in there. What prayers that you do, and usually what happens is that people pray. The elder of the house prays for the children, the sons first, then the daughters, recite a blessing over them for their prosperity and long life, and for them to be diligent in the Torah, etc. And after that, usually there's a few other blessings that are recited. After the blessings, what the families tend to do is they tend to sit together. Of course, they blow the shofar. Families mostly who are able to, they build a sukkah, like against their wall, with 2 sideways, makeshift walls, and one of their house walls. And then other than that, what they do is they have a open door in which they can go into the sukkah and sit, depending on the size of the sukkah. It's a little tent. Depending on its size, you can sit inside and have a meal with your family, or by yourself. If it's very small, you're just going to sit yourself. If it's a family, then the family can sit in. And there are the 4 items that are mentioned in the Torah that people generally will gather. If again, this entirely depends on where you live and whether those items are available, because there's a mention of there's a mention of a palm branch. I mean, you're not going to find palm branches in England, that's for sure, but you might find them in Florida. So there is that. You got to find those things in your area in order to put them up. And if you can't, that's no big deal, because you can always substitute for another branch. Myrtle branch is mentioned for Sukkot. Also, we find that what it says here basically in the Torah, it says that, let's see here, in Leviticus 23, chapter 40, says, "You shall take for yourself on the first day the fruit of the most beautiful trees, branches of palm trees, and the branches of thick trees and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before Yahweh your power 7 days." Basically, it says you shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israeli born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh your power. So in essence, you normally can pick up a palm branch, a willow branch if you have it, a myrtle branch, and then a lemon is also used in the hand, because what tends to happen in Israel, they tend to join these branches together, and they make a wave thing in your hand, and then you hold the lemon in one hand and the branches in the other, and you can wave them towards the temple in Jerusalem, wherever you are. And again, that's not obligatory, because that's just a custom that developed in Israel afterwards. But generally what tends to happen in Israel, people tend to construct sukkahs next to their homes, makeshift sukkahs, and then they are dismantled afterwards. And in America, and in my home in Florida, I have a permanent sukkah, makeshift, permanent one that I made in my backyard, that I used to use when I was there. Again, you can do a makeshift one, or you can do and if you don't have it, it's not a sin not to have so. If you can't, then you can't. That's just where we are. We're in the nations. It's not always possible for us to do these things. So therefore, if you can't, then you can't. Then you just do the prayers, you do the blessings, you do the dinner, and you get on with the life with your family. You give thanks, which is all about gratitude. You give gratitude today, and you give gratitude for the rest of the days of the festival, and then you get on with your life. And so, like last week, most of you who did the fast or did it another way, again, the idea is the same. Yom Kippur is the same idea. You give gratitude, you give thanks, you do the necessaries, you give zadaqah, and then you get on with the necessaries. So, this basically ends the Parsha as well, because this would be the last Parsha at this time. I believe that I think we already probably did part of it, and this would probably be the last Parsha in the book of Deuteronomy. And then after the Sukkot festival, what happens is because we did Hazenu Parsha last time, and then the next one with Parsha 54, which is Brachhu, Vezotha Brachhu, which is today. Technically, you kind of do this, and then you start new, with the new Parsha. And chapter 33 of Deuteronomy says, this is the blessing wherewith Moshe, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir to them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of the holy ones. From his right hand went a royal decree for them. Yes, he loved the people, all his holy Kedoshim, saints. And Kedoshim means the saints are in your hand, and they sat down at your feet. Everyone shall receive of your words. Moshe commanded us a Torah, even the inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov, and he was king in Yeshurun. Yeshurun is a descriptive or a inscriptive name for people of Israel. When the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together, let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is the blessing of Yehudah. And he said, hear Yahweh the voice of Yehudah, and bring him to the people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and you be a help against his enemies. And of Levi he said, let your Thummim and your Urim be with your favored one, whom you did prove at Massa, and with whom you did strive at the Maim of Merivah, who said to his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed your word and kept your covenant. They shall teach Yaakov your judgments, and Israel your Torah. They shall put incense before you, and whole burnt sacrifice upon your altars. Bless Yahweh his might, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. Baruch Shem Yahweh. This is great. Now, I wanted to also give you a testimony. Give me a second. Okay, so the testimony is this, that again, what I do understand is that there was about maybe 5 manifestations that I was told, or close to 5 manifestations. They're probably interlinked in some way, that came together. I believe it was for Yael, woman of the tent, what she gave me. So that was last week. She told me that she actually produced, or at least manifested, at least 5 of her, or 4 to 5 of her of her manifestations together, which are kind of linked together anyhow. So she managed to produce them. They kind of all fit together. So that's absolutely great and wonderful. And likewise, if you have testimony, if you have such things happening in your life, by all means, you can write to me an email, or you can, you can write it in the room, so that other people can benefit from that. I can tell you this much, that I have produced a manifestation. You're actually seeing it right now in front of you. This is another manifestation. I've got a regular internet over here, just installed about 3 days ago. So to me, this is a manifestation. I didn't have regular internet, and I was struggling with modems and buying data and all that every month, and so on and so forth. So 3 days ago, I found a company that was able to install an internet in my home. So Baruch Hashem Yahweh for that. I have regular internet, just like Wi-Fi, and it's working great. I'm really happy with it. And today I'm doing the first test with it with the Paltalk room. And this manifestation actually came very, very fast, extremely fast. So it's speed of lightning, that fast. So you see, when you meditate and you practice, then you're going to produce really quickly, if you know what you're doing, if you're not, twiddling your thumbs. So you need to really, focus at least your time, and you will produce whatever you desire. Of course, manifestations, your desires are a management of time. They are a measure of time. They happen over a time. Now, time is usually the biggest hurdle for people, and I've come up with different methods to help reduce that time. And what I have discovered, and I haven't found this in any books or anything, but I just discovered it because I, tested various methods, and I found that if you do because you find all sorts of information out there, which is not always accurate. So what I like to do is I like to test things out. I like to test it out for myself. I give my students tests so they can test it out, and then they can report back the results. So this is with the test that I can tell you that the affirmations that came fast for Yael, woman of the tent, was the Y affirmation. Remember I told you about the Y affirmation. And for me, it's similarly true. The Y affirmation is very, very quick. If you're having blocks, resistances, that almost everybody does, they have resistances that are built in their psychology, which can take a little while to take away. You got to know how to get rid of your resistance blocks. And if you have resistances, then it causes problems. It causes delays. The other thing that can cause delays, I'll come to that as well. So the first thing first is the Y affirmation. You do the I am health, for instance. I am health is a great, it's a great affirmation, but there are others that are even better. So it depends how you word it. I am health is good. Some people might say I am healthy. Some people say I am perfect health. That's a great affirmation to have. I'm perfect health. And that's an affirmation that's not going to be just true one day of the week. And you want that to be constantly true. And so in order for it to be constantly true, it's going to stay on your list. It's never going to come off, because, when do you want to be unwell? You don't want to be unwell. You always want to be well. So you're always going to have that on your list. So these are like one of those affirmations that don't disappear. They stay. They stay with you forever. And, you can even do, why am I great health? That's again a very powerful and a great affirmation. Why am I great health? And the reason why I say that is because, let's talk about money. Money usually happens to be the problem for people, because people who struggle with money, they usually struggle because of their poverty consciousness. And we spoke I gave 2 lectures on poverty consciousness. I would encourage you to go back and listen to them. They're very, very helpful for you. In fact, the other day I went to a store and this man goes to me, my wife was looking for what they call installer. It's like a little, thing that you wrap on your head or you put on yourself. And so she was looking for that, and there was some that she liked over there, picked up a couple. And the man goes, "Oh, I have some ones discounted over there at 30% or 40% discount." And you know what I said to the man? The man just, his mouth shut like, something happened. I said, "That is for the poor people. Give the discount to them." I just walked away. I said, "I don't do discount." So, that's my point. You got to be ready. And you got to say things like that because you're trying to build up your psychology, because what if your psychology is a poverty consciousness? Oh, yeah, please, oh, there's discount over, honey, let's go buy the discount over there. That's a poverty consciousness, unfortunately. Rabbi Kefa will tell you, Rabbi Kefa is my witness. I gave Rabbi Kefa a gift. And I don't want to tell you when I gave him that gift. But I gave him a gift and I bought the most expensive laptop, the fastest laptop I could find for him, no discount. And he will verify that for you. That's the kind of person I am. I don't do discounts. Because to me, that's living in a poverty consciousness. When you're in poverty consciousness, you're going to be looking for discounts. And that's the problem with most people. That's a resistance. And Rabbi Kefa, you can tell them, how is that laptop doing? Is it really fast or is it just wording on the picture? It's probably a very fast laptop. It's a gaming laptop. But Rabbi Kefa is not doing games. He's not doing games with that laptop. He's going to use it for stock market, charting and things like that, and webmail and, other stuff. Point being, Forex and, those kind of things, Forex charts and whatnot. So my point is this. I could have gone and I could have said discount and I could have picked a half price laptop and I could have said, all right, let me just send that to Rabbi Kefa, half price. I'll save myself some money. I didn't do that. Why? Because I made a commitment with myself. I made a commitment that I'm going to give Rabbi Kefa a good gift because, he had the birth of his son and, he just his wife came into the country. He established a new family and I wanted to, assist. I wanted to give him something nice because because of how his family was coming together. It was good, to see all of that. So I thought it'd be nice for them to. So I don't know how long Kefa's had a laptop. Maybe he's had it for 5-6 years. And so I thought, it'd be nice for him to have a newer laptop. And so the point being that, I see a lot of people skimming on money. I see that all the time. I see it in the town. I see it in shops, I see it in stores, wherever there's a discount, people are queuing like bees. And that is the poverty consciousness. That is what you want to push yourself away from. Because when you start to remove poverty consciousness, you will start to attract money. Because the reason why people don't attract money is they are stuck with their poverty consciousness. And poverty consciousness is what? $5 coupon, $3 coupon, $2 coupon. I've seen that in England. I've seen that, Black Friday and other Fridays, I don't know, Internet Monday or whatever they call them in America these days. I have seen that. And, mostly at these sales, they try to dish you off all the number 2, what I called B stuff. Like you go to buy a can of tins at, I don't know, Walmart, and maybe it's 92 cents. And you go to, or maybe it's $1. And I've seen this in America myself. You go to another grocery store that's like in the neighborhood, and they're selling the same B stock. And you know how much that is? They might be selling it for 75 cents. And you're quick to grab the 75 cents. You're saying, oh my goodness, I made a 25-cent discount. That is the poverty consciousness. That's what you're living with. That's what's holding you back. You will never get ahead with that. If that's your mentality, you will never get ahead. So therefore, be very careful with that kind of mentality. I mean, there may be occasions that you go to a showroom to buy a car. And maybe over there, they're selling you a Ford truck, and they say, we'll give you 10% discount. And that's fine. That's something that happened by the by. It's like immediate. You consider that a gift, right, from the universe, that you got 10% on the day. You didn't particularly go there because you said, I'm going to try to get a 10% discount. You just happened to go there to buy your truck, and they said, you know what, we're doing a sale today, we're going to give you 10%. And so, you get a 10%. That is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Consider that a gift from the universe. Write it down in your receive journal. Be thankful for it. Give gratitude. Good. That's great. But don't look for a $2, don't look for a $1 coupon, a voucher, and say, I'm going to use this voucher to make myself a $1 discount. Because what happens is, that goes deep into your psychology. Deep into your psychology. And that's a very, very bad thing. Rabbi Benaiah was telling me that Rabbi Benaiah bought his truck. I think it was this van that has all these home type facilities in it. Like you can cook in there, and it's got a little toilet and everything. And so he was telling me the RV, he got the RV and he got it at a really good discount. I don't think he went looking for a discount. He just, he went there and they said, you know what? We are selling our RVs at 50% discount or something. Great, that's a gift from the universe. You take that. But it didn't go to look for a $1 saving. What I'm talking about, Daniel has seen it, and Daniel says it's a beautiful RV. He's been in it as well. So he got that at a real good discount because he happened to, I think they were shutting down the store or the garage or something. They were shutting it down. And so he happened to pick it up. So there may be occasions when you go to buy a car, you go to buy a vehicle, a home maybe, people are desperate for the money, and they say, you know what, we are desperate for the cash, we want to sell it at 30% off. And that's great. Now that's not like saving $1 or saving 50 cents or saving 30. I have seen women in supermarkets in England, often in England when I was living there. I saw women in supermarkets holding about 10 different coupons, like vouchers, and they're like 30 pence, 10 pence, 5 pence, 20 pence, and they add them all up, and it turns out to be £1.50, and they're like all over the moon about it. You see, that's a poverty consciousness. That's what I'm talking about. And so this is why those are the kind of things that you want to avoid. But when you go to a garage and the garage says, you know what, this vehicle is for $40,000 and we're going to give it for 30, sure, take it. That's a gift. You saved yourself $10,000 because the garage just happens to have a great sale. That's no problem. So there's got to be, you got to understand the difference of what I'm saying here. Don't confuse it with $1.50 versus $10,000. There is a difference. So the reason why I said to the guy that is for the poor, because what was the difference? One product is for $5 and another one is for $4.50. What do you think that is going to be? Think about it. Saving of 50 cents, to me, that is poverty consciousness. So I don't live that, and I don't teach that either. So you want to be miles away from poverty consciousness, far, far away from it. Now the other problem that I noticed, that I discussed with my students also in recent times, is the issue of detachment. That's a big problem for a lot of people because they don't understand detachment terms and conditions, and they don't understand when to detach and when to attach. So, like I told you, the affirmation, I am great health, or I have perfect health, or any of those type of affirmations, that's something you want to always have. It's not something you want to say, only for 1 week, then I'll change it. No, that's always going to be ongoing. It's going to remain on your list forever until you depart from this earth. You're going to have that in perfect health. If you say, I am perfect health, it's going to be always on your list. But there may be other items on your list which don't need to be permanent and don't need to be forever. Problem is some people keep them forever. They've been reciting them for over 1 year, maybe 2 years, and nothing's happened. And they're like wondering, what the hell's going on? Why aren't I getting this? I've been doing this for over 1 year and nothing's happened. I can tell you, I have students like that who've been reciting an affirmation, maybe even writing it down for 2 years, and nothing's happened. So I have to speak to them and say, you're doing it the wrong way. You haven't detached. You need to detach. So what is a detachment period? That's an important key. A very, very physical aspect, a very important part of your manifestation story is the detachment part. Now, we talked about we spoke about 369. We spoke about 33.3. We said, what is 33.3? How to do it? What's the detachment period? I didn't much say about the detachment period, but 33.3, you write your affirmation down 33 times for 3 days, and then you rest. What is the rest period? I think I mentioned 1 week. First week, 1 week, 33.3. Second time, you take a week off, that's 1 week for the first time. Second week, or second time you start writing, after that 1 week detach, you then take 2 weeks off. Third time, 3 weeks. Fourth time, 4 weeks. 1 month. In other words, if you did that exercise 4 times, you would have gone up to a month detachment, and you would have taken about a good, I would probably say 2 months, nearly 2 to 3, almost 3 months. You would have done that exercise 4 times within 4 months. See the important point of detachment? How far you will be detached? Because if you didn't do it correctly, you probably would have done it in a month, I don't know, hundreds of times, and that would have been wrong. That may not yield the result as you desire as quickly. So detachment, like let's say you're saying, I am a millionaire. Or you're saying, why am I a millionaire? The why affirmation. Or it could be in another, a different format. It could be to do with business. It could be to do with something else. If you did it for business, you said, why do I have a $10 million business? Great affirmation. Why do I have $10 million business? Great affirmation. It works. You can get a $10 million business. And, but then you got to ask the question to yourself, are you going to do that business for $10 million? Because, you got to see yourself where you are, your age, your fitness level, your desirability level, your ambition level, and you might say, $10 million business might mean a lot of work. I may have to spend time in the office. I may have to chase up people, hire people, fire people, look at what's going on. You might say, rather than have a $10 million business, why don't I just go for $1 million business? I'm happy to generate $1 million over a year. Why do I have $1 million business? Great affirmation. You work on that. You work on a business plan, less people, sufficient money for your life, for your needs. You get on with it. You can produce that very quickly. You can produce that something like that pretty fast, but with the right detachment. Now, if you wrote down, why do I have $1 million in business, or why do I have $1 million business, or you wrote down, why am I $1 million? Why am I $1 million? Or I am $1 million. I am $1 million. I am $10 million. Out of those, let's say you start writing it down. You start writing it down, I'm $1 million every day. Or you start to recite it every day. You do it for a month. You do it for 2 months. Now what do you do? You've been doing it for 2 months. You've been great. You've been very diligent. You've been doing your meditation. You've been doing your, sounds, meditation, midbrain meditation. You're happy with it. You're happy with yourself. You're doing great. Now, but you carry on. You don't stop. 2 months gone by, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, nothing's happened. I'll come back to that, Jacob, in a minute. Yeah, good question there. So what happens is that you may do the meditation and everything for 6 months and nothing changes. Everything like you wake up in the morning, you have your coffee, you drink your tea or coffee and you see the news and the same old news, coronavirus and what not, and you kind of like carry on with your life and you're like, it's been 6 months I've been doing this, but my manifestation hasn't come in yet. Where is that boat? You may ask that question to yourself. The problem is this, that it's not the affirmation, it's not you doing the meditation or the affirmation or the scripting. The problem is that you never detached. That's where the problem lies, detachment. So what do? You suddenly realize, oh, but am I not supposed to detach? Oh yeah, I am supposed to detach. What the hell have I been doing? I've been just going like a rocket, for the 6 months. I need to stop this. Where do I detach? You see, when you've done 1 month, let me just give you 30 days. If you did 30 days of an affirmation, you must take 30 days off. Equal amount of time. Equal amount of time. If you did 30 days, and if you did 60 days, equal amount of time. So, what I would suggest, if you did a recitation and a scripting, and what I normally do is I do half time. I do it in half. So, what I do is if I did something for 3 months, that's 90 days. Then I'd say 45 days off. Boom, 45 days cut. Nothing. You don't do nothing for 45 days. In other words, you must not be listening to your audios that you recorded for your listing. If you recorded your audios and you're listening to it every night, you're still not detaching. So you need to stop. Your audios need to stop. Your scripting needs to stop. Your reciting needs to stop. Everything needs to stop. Now, 60 days, I'm telling you 90 days is a long time. You shouldn't be doing it for 90 days. Because then you're going to need to take 45 days off. And 45 days might seem like a lifetime for some people. So what you do, the best way to do it is, originally I came up with a method. I said 1 week on and 3 weeks off. Does anybody remember that? 1 week on, 3 weeks off. 1 week of scripting, 3 weeks off. And we came down to a day, we said 8 days is good. We said 8 days of scripting for the beginning of the month is great. Then you stop, you wait till the next month. So that was kind of the cycle. But then now you can extend it. You can say, then I also said to some students, 15 days in, 15 days out. Means you do it for 15 days, then 15 days you relax, you do nothing. You just go about your life, your daily doings, and you continue to, do your daily life, and then that thing you're desiring will manifest. Because you got to give it time, detachment. That is detachment. So there should never be a question of you doing 90 days. That's too long. You shouldn't be doing something for 90 days and then thinking when to detach. You should be doing something for maybe 1 month. Month is a long time, 30 days. If you do it for 30 days, I'd encourage you to take 2 weeks off. Completely off. No audios, no nothing. The only thing you can do, the only thing that you should be doing is your meditation only. That's it. The only one part that you don't stop doing is meditation. That's the only one part you don't stop. Everything else you stop. You stop your scripting, you stop your reciting, you stop your speaking in the north. All of those should stop, period. If you're working it like that, you will bring in your manifestation. So the way I did it is this thing about the internet access. There was no hope in hell of getting internet access over here. I was told by the people over here, there's no hope in hell of getting internet access over here. Regular internet. It's just not happening. And I said, oh yeah? Really? I said, well, I'm going to make it happen. So here it is, I made it happen. See, people told me over here, there's no way in hell this has happened over here. And I said, no, I will make it happen. And so I made it happen. So my point is this, that you will hear from people, at times, people will tell you, this thing is impossible. It cannot happen. But you got to make it possible. You can. You can make it possible. It's entirely up to you, what you decide. So, a lot of things in life work like that. People will tell you this is not possible, that is not possible, this can't happen, that can't. The word can't shouldn't be in your dictionary. The word, impossible should not be in your dictionary. So, therefore, it doesn't really matter what people, it doesn't matter what people think. It is what you believe. Remember what Henry Ford said. What you think is possible is possible. What you don't think is possible is also true. Meaning, if you believe that you'll never be rich, you'll never be a millionaire, then you're right. Because you believed it for yourself. And if you believe that you will be a millionaire, then you're right. Because you believed it for yourself. Both are true. Because you set the stage for what you want to be. Now, coming back to Yaakov's question. Yaakov said that when we think about how we're going to handle $10 million, aren't we using logic? No, we're not gonna think about how do we handle $10 million. It's not that. You can handle $100 million. What's it doing? It's just sitting in the bank, right? It's not doing anything other than earning interest. Of course you can handle 10 million. You can even handle 100 million. Even $1 billion you can handle very nicely. Very, very nicely. I was talking about the amount of work and effort, because if you said to yourself, I want a $10 million business. If you set your goal for a $10 million business, then it may have a lot of moving parts. You know, people operating in different areas of the business. And you got to be prepared as a person to look out for that business with the different moving parts. So I'm talking about a business with a lot of moving parts. That may not be a $10 million, that may be a $100 million business. It has a lot of moving parts. Now, you may have a business model in which there are not that many moving parts. So each person's business is different. Let's say you wanted to start up a haulage company. A haulage company is going to require you to buy trucks, lorries, big lorries, a yard to hold them, and then drivers, and then, companies are going to negotiate with you for business. So there's a lot of moving parts, there's moving parts everywhere. So my point is that might become a $10 million business. And you might say to yourself, wow, $10 million business, haulage business, maybe you own 50 or 100 lorries. That's a lot of lorries. That's a lot of work, a lot of drivers, a lot of moving parts, dealers, suppliers, maintenance people. Then you're going to have drivers. Then you're going to have issues with, routes, this, that, and the other, weather, all sorts of things. So that's what I'm talking about. That's a business with a lot of moving parts. Me, I wouldn't do that business. That's too much for me. I want a business model that is simple. I had a man over here today who was sitting in my home. He was telling me of a business that a man did in Pakistan. He opened a petrol pump. And, shippers and receivers, of course. So he opened a petrol pump. And he said the petrol pump he opened was illegal. It was in an illegal land. But he opened it, and he said, to the men, he hired the men over there, and he said to them, hey, I want X amount of money every day. He said, I want $500 every day. Not five, it was about $700. Let's just say $500. It was $500 amount every day. He said, I want my cut, the owner. He said, I want $500 every day. And he said to the men that he was employing there, who were managing the forecourt, he said that you guys, you're going to get $100 each, for example. He said, he employed about 3 or 6 guys. He said, you're going to get $100 each for yourself. But I want $500 every day on the trot without fail. And this is how much petrol gas you should be selling. And this is how much other things you're going to be selling. And you're going to drive the business and you're going to do it all. And guess what? They were driving his business. That was his model. His model said that I want $500 a day. I don't care how you do it. You're going to do $500 a day. That guy told me, he said, this man ran that petrol station. The gas station he ran for 10 years. After 10 years, the new government came and they shut it down and they stripped it out because it was on illegal land, and he was with the other party, the ruling party before that, so he managed to run it. But guess what he did? Very, very clever man, wise man. What he did, he took all the money that he made. Even the men he hired, even they made a lot of money in 10 years, in a decade. Think of amount of money they made for $100 a day in a country like Pakistan. Think about it. The man was making $500 a day. And his people working for him were each making $100 a day. Now you think that's small money? That's big money in a country like this. And he happened to amass a wealth. He became practically multimillionaire over here. And he used that multimillionaire wealth and he invested into property. And he bought prime property on the main road, GT road. And he, bought about 6 or 7 big stores. And he rented them. And these are 6, 7 big stores with a lot, there's one with a lot of stores in it. It's like a plaza. Then there's other stores and there's other ones. So with these 6 or 7 big areas that he invested in real estate, that he rented out, he was telling me today that this man today, he said this man is collecting. I mean, I'm telling you, this is silly money. He apparently, right now, he's making, if I calculate it in American dollars, let me just work it out. Let's see, what would that be divided by, okay, 613 times 30. This man is right now collecting about $20,000 a month on rent. Think about it. In a country like Pakistan, making $20,000 on rent, that's a huge amount of money over here. That's big money. I mean, even if you were in America, if you were making $20,000 rent, you will be on top of the sky somewhere. You wouldn't be on the ground. Awesome. But that man was wise. He allowed that petrol station to run for 10 years. When the going was good, he ran it. While the government was in his favor, he ran it. When the other government came, he don't care. They can strip his fuel pump down, and he's already made his money. He's already got about, 30 other buildings that he's renting, and he's collecting $20,000 every month in this country. That's the kind of wealth you can amass. So he had a model. So my point is this: you want to make a simple model. Don't be, stupid and try to go for, I want to do this and have 100, this and 100. No, go for a simple model. Simple model in the business world is what you're going to thrive with. To me, a business with a simple model is much better than a business with a complex model. So whatever that business is, that's something that you'll have to think for yourself. But for me, let me tell you what a simple model is. A simple model for a business is maybe you buy, 100 stores. You buy 100 stores and you rent them all. Or maybe you buy properties, maybe you buy real estate and you rent it. You buy real estate, you get yourself 500 houses, 1,000 houses, you rent them all. And that's a great model, because what do you do? What do you do after you do that? You just set up one office, very simple moving parts, one office that collects rent and that does all the maintenance for those houses, that organizes maintenance, that organizes collections, that organizes, other bits and pieces, and that's it. If you were in one city, you'd be laughing. I could tell you that. You know who's doing that? Our president is doing that in America right now. He is doing that. Mr. Trump. He's a billionaire from what? Property rentals. So, not just him. Many people today in this world became billionaires from property rentals alone. It's a simple model. It's not a hard model. So, very simple model. And if you don't get to 1,000 houses, if you only manage to get 50 houses, you'll still live a comfortable lifestyle. You still don't need to hire 100 people to run that place. Again, you still be having one office, with maybe 2 or 3 staff, and you could run your business. It's a very simple model. Or the other one that I really aspire to is the stock market model. You buy stocks and shares, and you run your stocks and shares company, and you make your money from home. You don't even have to go nowhere. Or you can have an office. You make your money from your office. When the market opens, you go trade, and you shut down your trading when the market shuts. And you work from 9:30 till 4. That's your trading hour, by the way. And that even if that, most successful traders, they do not operate 9:30 to 4. They operate less. You know what they do? They only trade first 2 hours of the market, and then they stop. Most successful traders that I know of. And you know how much they make in? Well, many zeros to their one. Put it this way, they are multimillionaires. So, you can be a multimillionaire from your home by just trading. That's how lucrative this business is, and there's no moving parts to it. Absolutely none. What's the moving part to this business? How many people do you need to hire? 0. You might have maybe one financial consultant who gives you advice on what to buy next. In terms of, your other business, not the stock market. So, once you're in the stock market and you're making money, you don't need any advisors, because Your advisors will probably be advising you where to invest your money after you collect it from the stock market. So that's how people made money on the stock market. So stock market is a very lucrative business, and it's a business in which people have made a lot of money as well. But I'm not saying that might be you. Then maybe that's not you. Maybe you're not that technical, or maybe it's difficult for you understanding numbers. You could find a different model, even if you sell tomatoes. There was a guy's story I read selling tomatoes, and he became a millionaire. In the days of no, email. And people asked him about email. He didn't have an email account. So my point is this, that it doesn't have to be stock market. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be another model. And that could be a simple model that works for you. You got to look at your age. You got to look at your makeup, your type. And you might say, you know what, I'd like to do X, Y, Z. And that will work perfectly for me. Because, I can handle it. I can manage it. And I don't need to worry about, hiring 100 staff. And so on and so forth. Something simple for you. And each one of you can do that. Absolutely, Rabbi Kefa. Do what you love, and you will love what you do. That's Rabbi Kefa's quote. I agree with that. Do what you really want to do and what you're really good at. For me, right, a good business model, for me, I would say for somebody, if you're a couple, would be like a beauty parlor business. A beauty parlor for women who are into beauty parlors and, makeup and stuff. Makeup is a great business. There's a lot of money in it. Companies are selling billions of dollars of makeup. And, women are not going to stop doing makeup, are they? They're not going to stop tomorrow. Doesn't matter if you're a Protestant or whatever, whether you're Pentecostal, they may stop one branch, but they're not going to stop the other branches. So makeup's going to continue. And so makeup is a great business, and maybe that's something that might aspire to women out there, who want to maybe sell lots of makeup, do contracts with big companies and sell it on and be a supplier to the hotel chains or something. So there's a lot of different types of model that you can come up with. Again, you want to decide for yourself, you want to write the affirmation for it, and you want to then start speaking it and start working on it. And that's great, it's perfect. But most all, what's important is that you need to detach from any affirmation that you write. You must detach after the detachment period. So if you've been speaking an affirmation for a month, you need to stop and detach. At least, I would say 2 weeks at least, if not 3. I would probably, myself, I'd go for the whole month off. If I'm going to do this for 1 month, put my energy and everything into it for a month, I want the whole month off. And the only thing I would be doing is meditation. That's the only thing I would be doing. I wouldn't be doing the listening at night, at sleep. I would have complete, the only thing I would do at night, which is what you should be doing, is you'd visualize, you would visualize, of course, still, but you would visualize your night time, sleeping mode, would be for whatever that business is. That's your visualization. You could do that. If you really wanted to do something, you could do that, but you shouldn't do more than that. Because what you're going to find is that if you continue to do over and over and over again, you're going to burn out. You're going to say, I've got headaches, I got, eye pain, my face is bloated, I don't know what's going on. But that's probably because you're overworking yourself. So don't overwork yourself. Overwork is the killer of manifestation. Manifestation is not about work. It's about method. If your method is right, stick to the method, you'll get everything you desire. Otherwise, set your goals properly. When I say properly, they can be outrageous. It's no problem. You can say you want to be a billionaire. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with becoming a billionaire. Billionaires are also humans like our president, Mr. Trump. They're all human beings at the end of the day. So it's not like they're out of this world somewhere. You can set that goal for yourself if you want to. But understand that if you're ambitious, you set yourself goal, make sure you have less moving parts in your business. The less moving parts, the easier your life. The more moving parts, the more busier your life. You don't want to make your life busy. You want to make your life easy. And so there's a difference between busy and easy. You want to spend time with the family. You don't want to be just out there working all the time. You might be making a lot of money, but you don't want to be out there working all the time. So you want to give your time to relax, you want to give your time to your family, husband, wife, children, and all that. And that's very important. So, remember, God gave us 7 festivals in the year. What is the purpose of the festival? Well, how about being with the family? That's the purpose. So now you got one big festival called coronavirus. So, everybody's with the family. So now you can give it to each other kind of thing, which is kind of not very good, but that's what happens. When you're together and you go outside and one person gets it and everybody gets it. It's in the family now. Like Mr. Trump, got the coronavirus and his wife got it too, or he got it from his wife, or vice versa. Who knows how it happened? But point is that he got it, his wife got it, or his wife got it, he got it. So it's in the family now. Coronavirus. One big coronavirus. So be aware that, you don't have to worry about logic over here. Logic basically is where logic comes and makes a resistance in time. Logic might say, hey, what you going to do with $100 million? That may be logic. Or logic might say, why you want to be a billionaire? That may be logic. You can remove that. You can be a billionaire. You can have $100 million. It's all possible. None of this is impossible. All is possible. You just got to tell yourself, where am I going to be comfortable? Am I going to have a healthy lifestyle with $10 million in the bank, $100 million in the bank, $500 million, $1 billion? Where am I going to be happy? And I want a business model that's simple. I don't run around all over the shop, chasing, Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't want to do that. I just want to have, one point of call. I want to have a simple business model. And so that basically works. I went to a village the other day, and I was, this village, they had a old Sikh temple over there, and I was taking pictures of that, and I was like, wow, I haven't been to a village for a long time. So, but I was looking at that, but they had rice, in that, outside that village, as I was going towards it, and I passed through at least 2 rice mills. Yeah, there were like big spaces and rice mills, and I was like, wow, they've got rice mills like in the middle of the village, outside the city. And as I was asking my friend, why do they have the rice mills outside the city in kind of like close to villages? And he told me the reason for that, and they were drying rice outside, before they pack it into bags. And he told me that the reason for that is that cheap labor. He said villages, there are people there and they need jobs, and so they can find cheap labor and regular labor. That's why they make it outside the city. And I thought, wow, what a great model. It's a great model. You build a rice mill, you have cheap labor close by, and they come to you and you do your drying and thrashing of the rice and taking them out of the whatever they're wrapped up in this little plant, and then you pack them and then you send them off. And most of the rice over here in this country, a lot of the rice over here, they are shipped abroad. You find them in America, in Europe, and all over the place. And they're great rice. Basmati rice is great. You find them all over the place. And of course they have them over here as well, but they ship them a lot as well. So, this is why these people are building these huge big rice mills. So, again, to me, right, one rice mill, might be generating a lot of money. I don't know how much they generate, but like I said, a gas station over here, a man managed to become a millionaire with a gas station. I thought that's unheard of, in my history. I haven't heard of a man in America building a gas station and becoming a millionaire. I haven't heard of that, but I have over here. So my point is that keep your model simple. The idea behind this story is that keep your model simple, and simplicity works best. Simplicity is where you make nice income for yourself and for your family, and you preserve a good lifestyle as well. So, to keep it simple. That's very important. And so therefore, the second part of the manifestation process is detachment. Detachment is key to your success. Tell yourself that detachment is key. If you are working on something, a project that you've written up, scripting, and you're meditating, you're working for a month, then you got to take a whole month off. Just take a whole month off. Relax for a whole month. Do your meditation every day. Don't stop the meditation, but stop everything else, including the listening at night. The only thing you should be doing infrequently, not frequently, infrequently, is visualization. That's the only thing you might be doing infrequently. And, you're not going to do it every day. No, that won't work. That'd be too much. People out there, the so-called gurus on the internet, they keep telling you that, oh, do the visualization every day. Oh, do the feeding every day. That's all a lot of baloney. That's all baloney. It's no nonsense. What they're teaching you is total nonsense, because it's not about the feeling and it's not about doing the visualization every day, because that's going to burn you out. And the feeling, well, how you know how to feel as a billionaire? You never had $1 billion. How would you know how to feel? So it's some of that information is just so crap. It's just out of this world. That's an unfortunate problem. To you need to just simply, set your mind straight, do your visualization, and that's about it. Yeah, Eddie's saying that it's get a bit tiring to keep up with that, the feeling and the imagine every day. No, because you just can't do it. If you start doing imagination every day, you're going to get tired, you're going to get exhausted, and the feeling, well, how do you feel with $500 million in the bank? I don't know how to feel with $500 million in the bank. I'll probably be the same. I'll probably be the same as now. So it's just, just a lot of talk. Olivia is saying that he did his visualization for 2 weeks only when he manifested his new apartment. So visualization, the best times for visualization are, of course, the morning and the evening. And if you don't have time in the morning and the evening, then of course you can set yourself time in the afternoon. You do a little session, clearing session, a little meditation, perhaps grounding, perhaps midbrain, any of those to clear yourself. And then you can do maybe 5 minutes of visualization, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes. And that's enough, and maybe you'll fall asleep. Every time I tried doing the visualization in the afternoon, I fell asleep. So you might fall asleep as well. So that's the other thing. Because when you do visualization, you got to be in theta state. In theta state, you're almost going to be between sleep and awake. And, 9 out of 10 chances, you probably fall asleep when you're visualizing. That's why I recommend you do it at night, before you sleep. Because when you do it at night, you might be lying down and start visualizing, and you fall asleep, that's great, because you're going to sleep anyway. So it's good to do that. This is my suggestion. And other than that, I'd say if you have any other questions, by all means ask. So I'm going to pass it on to Rabbi Kefa. Have a great Shabbat, great festival. Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shalom. Okay, Rabbi Kefa is going to reboot his laptop, and so we'll wait for him to join up again.
Okay, my take 1, 2, 3. Mishpahah, I could be here, can I get a 1? Went to back up there. Rabbi. Listen, I wanted to give thanks to the Kohen in the gate. I'm so happy for you, because you heard the testimony about you having internet. That is no less than a miracle where you're located. I guarantee you that is no less than a miracle. So I celebrate with you. Kohen, because that is a milestone indeed. I will tell you that you were coming in quick on this end over here. No worries there. But we give thanks and give thanks to the powers of Israel. We give thanks for our capability and capacity to fulfill whatever we desire for ourselves, whatever we desire, whatever you desire for yourself, which I think is very important. And I would like to say how Shemet to everyone in the family, and with this mindset that this festival is Sukkot. This festival is for the world, by the way. This is celebration and rejoicing for the whole world, because as you all know, when the temple is in full establishment, and when we can get on with those, well, not we, but when the priesthood can get on with those barbecues, because Sukkot. When you look at Sukkot, how many of you really look at the meat and potatoes of Sukkot? Sukkot is just one big barbecue. It is a major barbecue, and you just imagine the sweet smelling savors coming out of there. I'm telling you, Sukkot is one major giant barbecue. I'm telling you, it is a great celebration, festival for the whole world. Now, for those of you who you may not understand or may not know listening to YouTube, and you're like, well, what is this festival? The priest or pastor never told me about Sukkot. I don't know about celebrating Sukkot, this, that, the other, and the third. So, but again, the time is coming. There will come a period to when all the nations will come and pay homage to the powers of Israel, the government of Israel, Baruch Hashem, and they don't. We all know that there are consequences that come with that. So, we give thanks. This is a marvelous festival, and I would use this time as well to make sure you listen to YouTube and the family here live. If you don't have the book on the Feast of Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, I would encourage you to get that book. It will give you, great insight on our festivals. I couldn't tell you we have 7 festivals that are mandated that we keep. And if you want insight on how the practicalities and what you need to do in today's time in 2020 going forward, and, on how you need to keep it, and the relevance of each one of our festivals, and what they really mean, the meaning behind them. The Feast of Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel is a great book. You can pick it up on Amazon, pick it up on Lulu, and do yourself a great service going forward. Because again, we look at Sukkot, and what's the first thing that everybody always talks about? They talk about what? The temporary dwellings, the build booths, temporary dwellings. And my question to you this day is okay, we're putting up temporary booths. How many of you do that? I'm like I told you right now, I have my pagoda in the backyard, so my temporary booth is already up, and it also has a retracting covering where you can, when you want to see the stars at night, you can move the covering, or when you want to block the shade, you can cover the covering, which is great. Things that come to my mind this week, I'll tell you this, in dealing with Sukkot, and dealing with covering, and dealing with, having a covering over there, a huppah. Hakoni will tell you over there in Pakistan, which I know they probably still practice when they do marry over there, is that the bride and groom, do they still get under the huppah or under like a covering, Hakoni? Does that still take place? Under covering. You see that in our marriages as well. To Dr. Rabbi that Hakoni, and I did get the new our new ketubah that we're going to use going forward. I do have that, and it's stored away, tucked away, for those of you who are ready to marry. And if you notice anything about our Hebrew marriages over here, the way I did it, it's the same way. It's the same process. Is that, that covering. And I was thinking about this week in my meditations as well, because, I'm looking at all of the great and marvelous things that are happening in my life, because I desire them to happen in my life, because these are things that make me happy at the end of the day, and always rejoicing, because of, understanding the power that I do have. And I look back on, I'm looking at, investing. I love investing. I really love to do that. I really love investing in the stock market. I really love options. I'm a big fan of option trading. Stock trading, I'm getting into it now, but I really love the option trading model. I really like that a lot. And I love the Forex. And I was thinking, as we deal with coverings, and I'm like, wow. And we talk about the huppah, and we talk about, building roofs and dwellings and temporary dwellings. And I'm looking at my life, and I'm like, wow. I'm looking at my true covering that I had over me in the form of a man, in the form of Hakoni. Because I was thinking way back when Hakoni was living in the UK, and we were communicating, via whatever the social thing we had set up to communicate. And I remember the first time Hakoni he introduced me to trading the Forex. And I tell you, it was such a great experience, because during that time, Hakoni he had took a trade. It was a big trade, and he was like in the hurry for me. He was like Kefa, and I was like, what is this that he's doing? And I remember he was showing me on the screen on TradingView, and he was showing me, I took this, and this could go up to here or it could go down to there, and it just so happened I took this at the bad time, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. How I sit, under his dwelling in his home and make this money. have the ability to make money. He was my covering. He was the first one to introduce me to the stock market and to the forex market at that. Because I only hear about that time. I was only hearing about stocks on TV and all these other big wigs as they talk about stocks, but I had no interest in it at the time. So when I look back on this and I look on a covering, what a covering really does, and when you think about a covering, what does a covering do for you? You know, I told you about the Hagorah in the back. You know, you can open the Hagorah and you can see the moon and the stars and the sun during the daytime. But at the same time, when it's too hot or the sun is super strong, you can use that covering to block the sun and give you shade and give you protection, right, from all that excellent vitamin D, which we all need to have. That's a need that our bodies desire. You know, that vitamin D that comes from the sun. That's one of the greatest ways to get vitamin D is to go sit out in the sun. Now, some people take it to the extremes, while others don't need as much because we already have that particular pigmentation. We already have the melanin in us where we need much of the vitamin D per se. You blacks and you browns, you understand what I'm saying? But you know, when we talk about coverings, and I look at this, you know, HaKohen has protected me in a lot of ways in my life, being under his. I look at myself under HaKohen's chuppah, if you know what I mean, under his covering, under his canopy, under his, and being under that canopy has protected me in a lot of ways. And if you all will affirm that by putting up a capital P, for those of you who can agree with me in that aspect, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Is that being under that covering, under that chuppah of the Kohen, or Rabbi Simon Altaf, he has protected me in a lot of ways. And he has given me protection, you know, from, you know, a lot of things that may look bright and tiny, but he's covered me. And he's taught me many things that I have utilized in my life. And I'll continue to utilize in my life to enhance my life, to make it better, and give me my default settings that I love. Peace, happiness, joy. These are things that are so important to me. And believe me, what happens that, you know, that I'll always write is that, you know, I want to make, I'm making money from home. That's what I'm doing. I'm making X amount of dollars from home. And it is indeed wonderful. Because I'm the type of man, I like to work from home. I love to work from home. That's something that I love. I love all the responsibility being on me and not having like, some folks maybe, you know, you like having 20 and 30 employees. No, I like to be the employer and the employee. I like all the responsibility placed on me. That's just me. Now, some have the nature of, hey man, I like, you know, having 10, 50, 20 people under me that I logistically, you know, given instructions to, and I delegate, you know, this assignment to, and this. That's your makeup. And as I stated, we all made up different. And to stop with your responses, by the way, with this protection factor and covering that we have underneath HaKohen. Underneath, once you get underneath them, I'm telling you, there's a lot of protection there. Loads of protection. Loads of protection. And in protection, there's subsets underneath the protection model. Because underneath protection, you need what? You need nourishment. How many of you have been nourished by the Kohen? You're going to need nourishment. You're going to need, you know, protection has many roles. And when we look at the facts, when we look at our history, and we see the origination of the festival of Sukkot, it's from what? It's from, you know, the protection that our forefathers received, traveling from Egypt all the way to the land promised with milk and honey, Ukashir. Let's always remember that, is that power has protected us. Power protected our forefathers just like power is going to protect us and give us that sheltering that we need, that covering. That's one of the first questions I like to ask. Who is your covering? What do you mean? Who is covering you? See, a lot of folks don't want to have no covering. They want to be responsible for themselves. But just like our Queen stated, any person that, however you may see success, however you may define success, any person worth their weight will have a covering over a mentor, whatever terminology you want to use, an advisor. Anybody worth their weight, anybody that has any amount of success will always say they're a student to somebody else. So that's just the model that is set up for success. You get haughty when you say, well, I'm high enough and I've done this all by myself. Because I guarantee you, if you watch documentaries on successful people, wealthy, rich, successful people that have started up businesses that will leave a legacy, for eons to come, they'll always say somebody helped them along the way. They won't say, well, I got there by myself or I did it on my own. No, they always and still do have a mentor that they can go to, have an advisor that they can go to, have a counselor that they can go to. And that's so very, very important. When we look at the concept of a hoop, when we look at the concept of building dwellings. And note, this is what I want. Note that our forefathers built what? We're celebrating the building of temporary dwellings. Anybody answer the question, why were the dwellings temporary? Anybody want to take a shot at that? There's a lot of layers to peel away at this onion when we talk about why temporary dwellings. Why not just a dwelling? Okay, why temporary dwellings, Mishpahah? I would encourage you to take your imaginations back to our forefathers, the Hebrews, when they were being united and led cloud by day, fire by night, coming out of Egypt. Yael, woman of tents, because kept it moving. A stop in the road to Israel's manifestation of the promised land. Yael, woman of the tent, you have the same mindset of myself. Because we always were moving. And we must always remember that. And never forget, you're always on the move. Yeah, you can set up a dwelling, but always know that you must always move. Once you manifest something, once you meet a mark in one area, guess what? You move on to the next area. You're always on the move. Don't get into the mindset of, you're bogged down with just one house, with one dwelling. Oh man, I did not manifest that thing that I wanted, so guess what? I'm quitting. Quitter, chicken dinner. You're quitting and you're going to give up because, I've been doing this for so long. Like Hakoini mentioned, talked about detachment. You never detach, and guess what? When you don't detach, you know what I noticed? When you don't detach, guess what? That's the wheelhouse for logic to come in. That's the wheelhouse for ego to come in and bring a lot of ammunition by saying, you see, you've been doing this for so long. How do you know what I'm talking about? You see, you've been doing this? Not materialize. Manifest, you can't materialize nothing. And you just been doing, you see, you just need to quit. You just need to give up. See, that's what logic would do. You try to creep in and use that as ammunition. The time factor. You've been doing this for X amount of months. You may do this for a year, nothing happening. But in that detachment mode, and I want to take it to a next level. I couldn't mention detachment. But you know what you need to do? You know what else you need to do during that detachment mode that I find very, very important? Is you need to do two other D words. You need to discover and you need to discern. Because let me tell you, during that detachment mode, there's still a lot of things going on. Let me give you an example. My wife, she'll take a seed. She'll take a seed and she'll plant it in our backyard garden, and she'll plant that seed in the backyard in our raised garden beds, and she'll water that seed. Then she'll water it. She'll go the next day and she'll water that seed. And then before you know it, she'll take a day off. Maybe Mother Earth will give some water through rains, or she'll take a few days off and not water that seed, and she'll begin to see that seed develop some form of a flower coming up from the earth. And she'll watch it, and before you know it, that seed has become a full vegetable, or at least a plant. You can actually see with your naked eye a plant. You're like, wow, there's a plant here. It may be green, Majority of the time it starts out as green, and then before you know it, flowers bud on the plant. And then the next stage is that the fruit begins to introduce itself to the plant. And then you have a full-fledged vegetable or whatever. But there's processes. And so what I detach, be on guard, and especially to discover and discern, is because during detachment, that's when what? You should be anticipating production or age to where, for example, an idea will come in your business model during that. And so you write it down, you put it to the side, you say, okay, this is part of my plan. You know what I mean? So during detachment mode, this will be the time when it'll come to you. And if you're not discerning, or if you're not, you don't have the eye of discovery, you may miss it. This may be the opportunity during detachment mode where somebody comes to you and says, hey, man, I'm selling this car, and that could be the car you always wanted. Or you look through the newspaper and you say, oh, this is part of my manifestation. This is just how I want to do my business plan. This is an idea that I can use. So during detachment, down, but be on discovery mode for what's going to come in, because there could be things coming in, just little stages, little steps, little stages that's going to bring you to the ultimate goal. You see what I'm talking about? So when you detach, you need to be still on the alert and be discerning things that are happening around you. It may come in the form of a person. It may come in the form of a place. It may come in the form of a thing. It may come in the form of just a person saying, oh wow. That's energy that I can use that is going to help me ultimately get to my mark. You see? And it in some of the weirdest ways. Because I have been manifesting a new laptop. And guess what? That new laptop came in the form, I didn't know I was going to come, but it came in the form of Hakohi. Manifesting. And this is not a rinky dink laptop. This is top of the line. Baruch Hashem. And yes, I super fast. And he's right. I only use it for my invest, looking at charts and placing trades a lot quicker. Not none of these delays going on here on Thinkorswim, Baruch Hashem. And it's just clean and crisp as can be. But, again, the manifestation side of things, I don't care how it comes in, but I need to be on, and now, this is a person that's not discerning and not, have the antennas up for discovery. If I come and came and say, well, yeah, Kefa, I'm going to purchase you a laptop, as a gift. I say, no, Hako, I'm manifesting that, I'm waiting for it to come in. Do you understand how you can miss your discovery? How you could, if you're not discerning things properly, you could totally miss it? You're like, oh man, and there goes opportunity knock, and you just let it go by. You didn't answer the door. You see what I mean? And it can come in many other ways, shape, form, and fashion. So when you detach, that doesn't mean everything's put on hold. That the process is still happening. The universe is reeling it in for you. Now will that reeling come with one reeling, just like the market? So the market may be trending down. That stock it may be trending down, maybe trending up, however you want to look at it. But this is something that's very interesting. That even in the crash that we had in the market, the big crash that we had, was it in 2018? What was that big crash that we had? Even in a big crash, even in the market, even in the Forex, when you're in a trend going down and it may be just a real hard trend, there are more opportunities for buying in a down market. There are loads of opportunities to buy in a down market, even when the market's going down, and vice versa. Even when the market's going up, there are still opportunities to sell and to cash in on selling. There's so many opportunities. But people just think, oh, because it's a down market, then I can only sell. No, that's not the case. Now you know the riddle. You know the trend is your friend until it ends. So you want to trade with the trend, but there are opportunities to buy even in a down market. There are opportunities even when the market's up to sell and make a killing. Because even though the market does have to rest sometimes, there are opportunities in that rest period. This is what you must be able to discern. You must be able to discover. You must always have that discovery antenna on, and you must always have that discernment antenna on, or you may miss the manifestation stage of progression. Because whatever you're trying to mark for yourself, whatever marker you have set, it's going to come in stages. It may not all come in one big lump sum. It may come in stages. So you have to follow the steps. Just like that seedling becomes a vegetable. There's steps into it. And so you don't want to miss the step. You don't want to miss the opportunity because, who knows how long it'll take for that opportunity to come back around to you and manifest itself to you maybe in a different way. You see what I mean? So when you detach, be on guard. Be on guard for what may come in for you. For the discovery. For the discovery. That's lining up with whatever you're desiring for yourself. That's lining up with that dream that you have. That's lining up with those affirmations and the visualization. It's just a step that's helping you get there. But you have to be able to do that. You have to be alert to that. You have to be on guard. And don't miss the opportunity. Because opportunities come. Opportunities do come, Mr. Hall. Do they come around more than once? Yes, they do. But the periods in between, that's going to depend. That's going to depend on you. You all heard the story and he got caught up in the flood. And he was told it was going to flood. He was told by the weatherman it was going to come and the floods were coming and the floods came and the man still never left his house. And he had, 3 or 4 different people come to him in a variety of ways and warn him about the flood until he ended up on the roof of his house and he was overtaken by the flood. And, he passed on to the next life. And Powers asked him, he asked Powers like, well, why didn't you come rescue me? Because his whole premise was, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God to come. I'm waiting on God to come. And Powers revealed himself in several different ways. 4 or 5 different ways. And that man rejected every one of those ways. And he ended up leaving this life because he rejected in different ways. And then, because he didn't understand, he didn't have anything to understand. He didn't understand. He was not what? Discerning. He was not looking for discovery. He couldn't discern, oh man, this, what they say, what do they say? This is heaven sent. Man, you just came at the right time. This is heaven sent. That's what they say. Man, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God to come and rescue me. Well, rescue has came to you in many different forms. Some of you listening via YouTube, maybe some of the family members in this room, you're waiting on the same thing. Or you say, well, what? I just need that. Well, the protection is here. What's the protection in the form of? The protection is in the form of the Kohen. If you get under his covering, and when you get under his covering, you'll begin to see things change in your life. How you want them to change. But when you still, desire to go off on this wild tangent by yourself, then you're going to get those kind of results. Nothing from nothing will leave you with nothing. So you must be in discernment mode to where you don't miss the markers that are come to help you meet your mark. Because there's many markers that are come, and they'll come in many different forms. And I guarantee you, you won't only get one opportunity. You know, people tell you opportunity knocks once. No, I don't believe in. I believe that you get many opportunities. You get many opportunities. I believe that. So if you miss it the first time, it's not all doom and gloom. How many of you in this room has been married more than once? that's proof right there. Put a capital M on that. That's proof right there that you can have more than one opportunity at love, at relationship. You see what I mean? That's proof that, it's not one and done, Miss Fahar. But again, when we look at these periods, in history, we must take advantage of what's presented to us. But you can't take advantage of what's being presented to you, these markers. I call them markers that help you meet your mark. If you don't see the discovery that's in your face, what did you discover? Great inventors discover many great things. You're a great inventor. You're great, you're great innovators. Well, what did you discover? You have to be able to discover things. Otherwise, you'll miss it. And how many periods must go around before you'll get another opportunity to discern? You'll get another opportunity to discover. It don't take you many times, and then you realize later, that's what that woman was telling me. I should have asked that woman this question. So when it comes around again, you'll be ready for it. Because as he told you in his lecture, there's so many different ways to get to where you want to go. You just have to decide how you want to get there. How do you want to get there? There's so many different ways to get to where you want to go. How many of you want to go somewhere, or you just want to be stagnant? How many of you are building temporary dwellings because just like Yael, one of the 10, hey, this is temporary. Why? Because I'm always on the move. You know what I mean? I mean, these are questions that you have to ask yourself, and you have to be honest with yourself. Because all these ideas that are coming your way, all this discovery that we're getting from the Hakohi, some of it may not apply to you, and that's okay. But some of it may stick to you like glue. Man, that's what I want to do. Oh, man, I'd love to do that. Well, then do it. And love what you do. That's happiness. When you're doing what you love and you love what you do. I love being with my family. I love being with my family. Shabbat Shalom, Naomi. I love being with my family. So, my family is my nucleus. So everything builds outside of the nucleus of my family. So this is why, I want to work from home, because I love being with my family. That's what I am working from home. It's not what I want. I am doing it. Because I love being around my family. Do what you love what you do. And then you'll be happy. You totally will be happy. And this is why most folks aren't happy. It's because they're not doing what they love. Matter of fact, they hate what they do. And there's just a lot of people that just drink haterade. They hate to hate. You know what I mean? They hate because, they feel good hating. And there's people that's like that. People that's just sad and depressed because it makes them feel good to be sad and depressed. That's just how, that's just how they feel. That's how they run. Their energy, their fuel comes from that. Their fuel comes from other people's destruction. And people that's like that, believe it or not. And you truly see the nature of folks. I was like, wow, President Trump, he tests positive for the coronavirus, him and his wife, and yet there's people that are saying a person in America that make this statement. I'm pretty sure there's probably more than one that I hope he dies. Are you kidding me? But yeah, as you study human nature, it's going to take all kinds to the world go around. You're going to find that. But I will always urge you to always remember karma. Mother Karma will come back on, these people in such a... Well, you don't have to do anything because Mother Karma will handle it. Karma will handle it. Because we're told in our books that we're to treat people how we want to be treated. Mother Karma will handle that. So don't be surprised when you see all of these other things going on. We know what we're commanded to do. We're commanded to, meditate and petition and to pray for those people put in leadership by powers. No matter if you're caught up with these conspiracy theories, this power, that power, and Illuminati, blah, 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 New World Order, at the end of the day, powers put all these persons that are in place in these positions of authority in this place for, I don't know the reasons, but it could be many reasons. But for this particular period in our history, for whatever reason. But what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to stand in the gap and lift them up in our meditations. Give them positive energy so that they can go out that they've been mandated to do, that they like to do. I mean, who runs for president? Somebody that likes, that's their desire. They like to run for president. They want to be president. Baruch Hashem, then run. That's what you want to do. But in the spirit of our festivals, in the spirit of it, rejoice always. In us, rejoice. Give give thanks and gratitude. And I want to say thank you to Moshe. I want to say thank you to Moses this day. Because when we come to the end of our Torah, when we completed this, the Torah never ends. But when we completed the cycle of the Torah, and I want to go there, because I think it's very important. And there's a great commemoration given to Moses, to Moshe. In Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 5, again I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, or the Hidden Truth of Great Scrolls. You don't have this Bible, Mr. do yourself a great service. YouTube listeners, do yourself a great service. Those of you who study the Bible and add this Bible to your collection, add it to your library, to your stuff. It'll really give you great enhancement and great insight and great understanding on how the powers of all things, the source energies desired you to live, and what kind of life you're supposed to live. It's not a life of doom and gloom and destruction. But it's a life of dreams. It's a life of happiness and peace and love and joy. However you see it. Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 5. I started verse 5. So Musa, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab according to the word of Yahweh. To verse 6. And he was buried in the valley in the land of Moab over against Beth-peor. But no man knows of his sepulchre to this day. Verse 7. And Moshe was 120 years old when he died, and his eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Baruch Hashem. That should be encouragement right there from the Torah for all of us that that have embraced taking the yoke of Torah upon us. Is that when you look in the mirror, you look at that woman in the mirror, you look at it in the mirror, you say that your eyes not dim, nor is your natural force abated. You're a young snapper. You're not, oh, I'm so old and blah, blah, blah. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I'm beautiful, gorgeous, I'm handsome. Denzel, get out my way. Jada Pickett, whoever you see it, get out my way. Nor his natural force abated. In that affirmation, my natural force is not abated. Baruch Hashem. Natural force. Handsome young man, spry young whippersnapper. But his period on this earth was done. Look at verse 8. And the children of Israel wept for Moshe in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moshe were ended. Look at verse 9. And Yahushua, Joshua, as you may know him, the son of Nun, was full of the Ruach, the spirit of wisdom. For Moshe had laid hands upon him, and the children of Israel listened to him and did as Yahweh commanded Moshe. Look at verse 10. And there, listen to what a great commentary to the end of a wonderful life on the face of this earth. Deuteronomy 34 and 10. And there arose no prophet since in Israel like to Moshe, like to Moses, whom Yahweh knew face to face. Baruch Hashem. And there arose no prophet. And to this day, there is still no prophet like that of Moshe, who knew face to face, who knew powers face to face. Look at verse 11. Deuteronomy 34. And all the signs and the wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Israel, in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. Look at verse 12. And in all that mighty hand, and in all the great terror which showed in the sight of Israel. What a testimony. I say to you, Moshe, I invoke your name, Moses, Musa, thank you. And as ended right here, we come to the period here that, the end of the book of Deuteronomy, in the Hidden Truth Break Scrolls and Abrahamic-Faith Bible, goes on to say, be strong. Be strong and be strong, and may we be strengthened. How do you strengthen? How do we strengthen ourselves? How do we gird ourselves up, Mishpah, in this 2020? In this time of moving our temporary dwellings from here to there to everywhere, to whatever marks you desire for yourself, how do we do that? We stay under the covering of the Kohen in the gate. That's how we do it. We stay under his covering. We stay under his protection. We stay under his shield. That's how it's done. So that we can be strong, and that we may be strong, and that we may be strengthened in our strength. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. How do we continue to be strong? We continue to detach. We continue to discover. We continue to discern. We continue to manifest. We continue to visualize. We continue to script. We continue to journal. We continue. And we rejoice and we celebrate in that. Always. And again, I say rejoice. Temporary dwellings. Why temporary dwellings? Because we're always on the move. Don't get stagnant. Don't ever give up. Don't get stagnant. Don't build one temporary dwelling and say that's enough. I'm going to this temporary dwelling permanent. Always have the mindset of moving. We're on the move. My father used to have this song on 8-track. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. How many remember that song? He's on 8-track. We be traveling until we're on the move. That's what we are. Ain't no stopping Israel. If I may use the syntax. There ain't no stopping Israel. We're on the move. You are on the move. You're a temporary dweller. Don't make yourself permanent. Don't ever settle. This earth, this world has too much to offer. As folks that have been given, as human beings that have been given dominion over the earth. There's too much out there for you just to settle. For you to stay put. For you just to settle in. Don't settle in. Move. You're mobile, Israel. That mark that you're trying to get, there are many markers that may come your way. And I hit it on this last Shabbat, but there's more than one way to get to the mark. There's many markers. So if one way doesn't work, move on to another way. And then try another way. And keep on trying. Keep on moving and you meet the mark. Don't ever let the mark meet you. You meet the mark. How does the mark meet you? Oh, you say, well, man, I've been trying for this mark for so long and it's just not working. I can't meet the mark. Well, the mark hasn't met you. You see, because you've already given in. And then you may say, well, maybe I need to water down a little bit. No, you keep your mark at the highest capacity you can go. A lot of successful people that think that way. They'll set high marks for themselves, and they may not meet that high mark, but they get awfully close, and they're totally happy with awfully close. How many people, mentors, may have said that to you, or you've heard that statement before? You set your marks high, so when you fall short, you're still higher than you were before. You know what I mean? Because, again, your desire to meet that high mark, you may reach it and you may not. But you have the mindset of reaching. And you're always discerning. And you always new ways of how to meet your mark. Now, those ways of meeting your mark, those markers that may come, it may come in some kind of weird, some asinine way that you just were not anticipating, and that's okay. Because that's already putting your mind in check, and that ego in check. To where, it doesn't have to happen to think it's going to happen. It just happens. And I say, let it happen. I say, let it be. Brachhu. In honor of the great Brit. Just let it be. Let it be. Don't worry about how it's going to be. Let it be. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give in, Miss Fox. Meeting your marks. And if you got to get mobile, then get mobile. If you find that that temporary dwelling is not working out, pack up and move. Move around. Don't give up on the mark. Move around to another marker. Until you finally meet your mark. And you're on the move again, right? For the next mark. Life is beautiful. It's so beautiful. Life is wonderful. Life is truly, truly wonderful. And in the spirit of, you want to talk about protection? Now, if the President of the United States could come up positive for the coronavirus, and you and I have not come up positive or symptoms of corona, is that not, and I think y'all mentioned this, is that not protection? Is that not protection, Mr. Bob? I'm telling you, there's more to this than meets the eye. There is more to this than meets the eye. There is totally more to this than meets the eye, Mr. Bob. But you gotta be able to see it, so that you can rejoice, and then you can celebrate. What's for celebrating? What's the reason for rejoicing? You see? Yael, woman of 10, says, that's why the rich have boats and planes to keep moving. Planes, trains, and automobiles to keep it moving. I want all of you to have that. No, I don't want. My desire is that all of you have that same mindset. Is that the mindset of richness. Maybe not richness in material wealth. Maybe just richness in peace. Richness in love. But my desire is that all of the family has that set of richness. Anybody want to debate me on the fact that Moshe, he lived a rich life? Anybody want to debate that with me? Moses lived a rich life. He lived a full life. He lived a rich life. A life of richness. Abraham lived a rich life. Noah lived a very, very rich life. Hey, here's something for you. Food for thought. Noah, how many of our ancestors had a cruise ship besides Noah? Think about that one for a minute. The first cruise ship that ever was, Carnival Cruise, can't touch Noah's Ark. Brachhu. You don't think Noah was rich? Come on, man. Noah had the first cruise ship ever. Come on now. A lot of passengers on there too, by the way. Noah had the first cruise ship. With the zoo. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the zoo. Let me throw that in as well. Yeah, with a zoo. Hey, and get this. I mean, this was a mobile zoo. This thing was moving. Come on. Noah was on the move. Broke a ship. I mean, think about this for a minute. Our ancestors had a richness of a mindset. The Hebrews had a richness of a mindset. Now, we see that was challenged at times throughout our history, right? That was challenged by some of the family and by those that opposed. But our family had that's our makeup. A rich mindset. I want all of you to invoke our ancestors on that and put that in your, affirm that. That I am richness. However you see richness, richness in peace, richness in love and joy, richness in monetary wealth, richness in material wealth, richness in health. You're rich. You say that right now. Affirm it. I am rich. I am wealth. I am abundance. You're infinitely abundant. My goodness, you're eternal abundance. You begin to say these kind of things. I'm telling you, this is our mind. This is who we are. That's why I celebrate the Torah, because it has enriched me, and it continues to enrich me. I celebrate that. I rejoice in that. It's not a one-off. Okay, this is all you're going to get. No, Torah never stops giving. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. And it gives and it gives and it gives. Like Trump said in one of his lectures, he said, some of you states going to come to me, you're going to say, oh, Mr. President, can you stop? We just have too much. We just have too much goodness and too much prosperity happening, and he come to the White House and say, oh, can you just stop it? Can you turn it? No, we won't ever say that. Torah just keeps on giving to us. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. And it gives and it gives. And what do? You just keep on receiving it. You receive it. And you just keep on meeting your marks. Your mark after mark after mark. And you keep making marks and meeting marks. And being what? Being observant, being discerning and discovering those markers that are out there. Don't miss your markers. Your markers are always, see, you affirm it, you visualize it, you script it, but then anticipate markers coming in, because they will. You got to anticipate them. You got to be on guard for them, because you don't know when they're going to come. They'll come when you least expect it. You got to be able to that old lady just said this, and it's sure, wow, that was revelation to me. I was watching this man feed his dog, and then all of a sudden, this idea came to me out of nowhere. You see? Don't just excuse it and let it go by. Oh, this man came up to me and told me this way, this man became a millionaire. And that resonated with me. Don't just excuse it and don't just let it go by. These are markers. We must be able to discern the markers. Have your antennas up. Those markers. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We're right now in this period in history. There's great opportunity for those who see the markers. There was this statistic that just came out this past 6 days that talked about during this latent virus time, plague, mumbo jumbo, that entrepreneurship, or that, self-employed people that open up businesses, the percentage has went up tremendously during the plague. People out and opening up their own businesses here in North America. I don't know if that's happening in Pakistan, but it is here in North America. People are realizing, and now the thought process is, hey man, I don't have to work for the man. I can be the man. I can work from home. I don't have to go to the 9 to 5. This is one guy I was listening to. Again, you got to be able to watch the markers. This guy on Business Channel, he was a health and fitness guy. He was a trainer, a physical trainer. Was doing that. He went to college all those years to become a physical trainer. So he's a physical trainer, and he was like, man, in my neighborhood, all of the facilities, they closed down. All the gymnasiums, the place where you go work out, they're all closed down. So he said, I saw this coming. He said, I saw this coming. When that plague hit, they start shutting things down and saying that you gotta, isolating, and blah, blah, blah. He said, I saw this coming. So as I was teaching my clients, I began to ask myself, what else can I do to make money? What else can I do to survive? Because, I'm not going to be able to be a trainer. Gym's going to be closed. And you know what he said? He said, you know what? I began to think about how, as a child, I always liked to work on bicycles. He said, I would have my bikes in the garage. I would just fix them up. He said, man, maybe I ought to just start fixing bicycles. And guess what the corona did with social distancing? Made people stay at home and begin. Do you know, how many of you have a bicycle recently? I have. I purchased a bicycle. Several bikes for the family, you know what I mean? And so now people are riding bikes again. I forgot all about riding bicycles. I thought, when's the last time you rode a bicycle? I mean, think about this. But the coronavirus in North America, a lot of people are purchasing bicycles now. And the bicycle is booming. And now a lot of people, right, they need their bicycles repaired because they can sit up in the garage forever and a day. And people need training wheels put on because they forgot how to ride bikes, and now they want to teach their children how to ride bikes because they're so tired of being cooped up in the house, and so now people are riding bicycles again. So this personal trainer, he opened up his own bicycle repair business, and guess what? A woman, it's mobile. It is mobile. I told you, says I prefer a motorcycle. It's mobile now. So his business is mobile. So he can go to your house and he can fix your bike. He can meet you at your business and fix your. He can go to your garage and fix your bike. And the news guy's like, hey, you think you'll ever go back to personal training? He said, no. He said, you know why? He said, because I love fixing bikes. He's like, I'm doing what I love. I love faith. How much positive energy this man is getting out of watching little children's faces light up as the bike is fixed, and the joy and the happiness that they ride the bike. That Daniel says it's almost like forgetting how to walk. Indeed. But now people are riding bikes once again. Isn't that something? So even in this corona-laden, a society that we're living in right now, there are markers out there for you to start a business. This man has a business now, and he's totally happy with it, and he's circulating more money than he did at personal training. And he loves what he does. He says, I love it. He says, I love doing this. He said, I'm not going to go back. He said, as a matter of fact, he said, the gyms are now starting to open, and that gym had called me up to come back to go to work. He said, I refuse because I like fixing bikes. I like repairing bikes. And now he already has his vision. You know what he said? He said, I see myself in a year or two, I have mobile vans. I'm going to have mobile vans, and I'm going to be able to go and repair your bike wherever you're ready. If you go back to the business, I'll be able to repair it. I'm going to have a fleet of mobile vans. I was like, Baruch Hashem. You speak it, it will be. So as you speak, that's what it will be. And so you see, when you begin to listen to these testimonies, for those of you who want to be in any kind of form of business, how many of you in this room, family, want to be in any kind of form of capital B? Any kind of form of, you want to be in business. You know what I would encourage you to do? Start watching the business channels. If you want to be in business, start watching business. because you'll get ideas. Excuse me. And in some of these shows, you'll get markers from other people who are already doing it. Watch successful business people. I think now, really, in fact, when you begin to watch people and listen to people who have made success, met their mark in successful business, and who are continuing to not stop and stay stagnant, but who have become mobile, and now they're venturing out that business into another business, Just like he told you with the man with the gas station. That man with the gas station business down, but in the meantime, all years he was already investing in other businesses, real estate and other business. That's wise. It's very, very wise. There's a lot of markers out there. Now, his model may not be your model. His mark may not be how you reach your marker. These can be markers that help assist you. And it may just be that I gotcha moment to where, aha, the light bulb comes on for you. And then you get another marker to help you get to your mark. Another idea, a thought. Another action that you can put into place that brings you one step closer to your mark. And these are the things that can happen when you detach. Discovery will come in. This will come in. Discovery, that's a big legal word. Discovery is a legal word. Believe me, I know, because I've been in litigation a lot. I've been in litigation a lot, fortunately. But they when two parties, you have your defense, and then you have your prosecutor. Well, by law, they have to give up discovery. They have to give up the information that they have on a particular case. They have to do that. And if it's not in discovery, then you can't present it before the court. Because it has to be in discovery. It has to be open. That's a big word in the legal side. What do you have? What's your evidence? See, evidence will start coming in and flowing in. These markers, this is going to be evidence or fuel to fuel your energy for your particular mark. Okay, Mr. I'm back. More discovery coming in. So it's going to happen to you, it's going to happen time and time again. Over and over again. The opportunity or the evidence is going to come in. Be on the lookout and just be alert for the evidence. There's something going on with politics, but it's not going to stop us now because we're on the move, right? But time and time again, we have to be on the lookout for the evidence. You have to be on the lookout for the evidence. It's going to come in. You have to be on lookout for it. You have to be on guard. Wait for the discovery to come in. Because it will. That's going to assist you. Now, how it comes in, see, that's the part that you have to be discerning. Because it comes into some cockamamie kind of way that you just wasn't anticipating. Like, I was not anticipating getting this information from that old lady or from that old man or from that pet or from that person at the register or from whatever, because it may come in some kind of just asinine kind of way that's just uncomprehendable, but you need to comprehend it because that's evidence coming in for you. That's for you to help you meet your mark. It's just one step closer, just energy, more fuel that's pushing you towards that mark where you're trying to get, where you're getting. It's just so you have to be on guard, alert, you see. And what has assisted me? My goodness, man. I remember when I first saw that monitor and how Kohen on the Forex, I was like, wow, this is interesting stuff. And Kohen was showing me, okay, you do this, and I took this trade there, and I went like, wow, and just, you can make money doing this? I'm like, this is amazing. He's just in the confines of his own home in the UK. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I see that point to where I am now. And it's like, wow, come a long way under the covering of the Kohen in the case. course, I give thanks always. Because I have found true love. Only one example. My true loves under the covering, under the protection of the Kohen. You see, when you get under the protection of the Kohen, I mean, you just don't protection and you're happy under it. You know, there's a lot of action going on under that. You know, things taking place. In my case, under his protection, under the protection, I found my loves. I found it. I got, the most wonderful son that you can, the most handsome son that you ever find in the world. Yeah, I'm a dad, so I guess I'm partial. Wonderful family, loving wife, job that I love, doing what I love. I mean, how can you go wrong? Who to go to heaven when you have all that going on right now? You know what I mean? Why do you have to wait to go and get all the... You don't have to wait. That is the biggest stumbling block and the biggest fallacy on the face of this earth. It's saying that you have to wait for something. You don't have to wait for anything. You see? Right? That's why he said you're already in there, the Rabbi. Indeed. So why do I have to wait to get to somebody's heaven? That's a bunch of hogwash, man. That's pig water. And I don't drink pig water. You see? But yet many people think that, oh man, my goodness. Oh, I'm still waiting, brother. What are you waiting for? Go out and make it happen. Make it. Mark it, and then watch the markers come in. But believe me, is it a shift? Oh, it's totally a shift. It's night and day. You totally have to. You know what? It's your mind. Just like we're told in our books, your mind will say, well, what's good is bad and what's bad is good. That's exactly how it happens. Because your mind saying, man, this stuff bad. But your subconscious is saying, man, this is exactly what I needed. To fuel self, to empower self, to energize self. But yet your mind is saying, that's bad, that's evil, that's wicked, that's unconventional. And yet the subconscious, that is exactly what I needed. This is exactly what I need to fuel, to grow, nurture. You understand what I'm saying? This is beautiful stuff. Life is beautiful. Once you get under the covering, and Powers has delegated authority. Just like some of you in your businesses. You want people under you because you delegate authority. You like giving instructions. And so be it. If that's your character makeup. You like delving out responsibility. And so be it. Rabbi, if he wants to open up if he wants a mechanic shop and he wants to have maybe 50, 20 mechanics underneath him, because like Rabbi Zakari, he said, I'm not trying to get my clothes dirty anymore. He don't want to get his clothes dirty. So what is he going to have? Maybe 15, 5 or 6, mechanics that he gives out instructions to. And those mechanics only come to him when there's a major problem. Who's that sound like? Rabbi Christ, almost like the likeness of a Moses, right? People only come to him when they have a problem. You got a problem that you can't solve? When you go to Rabbi Zakari, tell you about that enumerator, operator, generator, mumbo jump, all of that terminology. He'll let you know. Okay, this is your problem because you need to put this. You've got to put the alternator on top of the starter and blah 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 blah. You see. And so you begin to delegate out things to other folks to do. Even having my daughter now, man, responsibility. She needs to learn that. She's 16, but yet she don't want no responsibility, but she wants everything. Oh, you gotta be responsible. With everything that you want comes responsibility. Begin to delve out those responsibilities, and before you know it, you have a successful business. This is like it's running like a fine-tuned machine. While other folks, no, I like to work for myself. I want to be responsible for myself. If down, I'm going down with it. It's like the captain of a ship, right? I was watching this. What was that one movie? Great movie about about, this guy, this captain of the ship. They went out to sea, do something, and everybody got off the ship. Said the captain, said, "I'm going down with my ship. I'm going down with my ship." You're successful when the times are good. You take all the success, and at the same time, when things don't go so good, you take all the failures that come along with it. That's I'm that type A person. I'm responsible for myself. Let me be responsible. Give me all the keys and let me turn them. I'll take full responsibility. I love being around my family. I love watching Nakshan grow up. I love seeing him come into his personality, coming into himself. I love to just examine him as he cycles through, getting through his little obstacles and moving things down and trying to get his ball from underneath the walker and how he's going to do it. I sit there and I just watch him and I study him as he remembers things and as he covers things. He's discovering a lot of things. As a 1-year-old, he's discovering stuff, man. He's discovering his capabilities, his ability to reason for himself. And I sit there wondering, like, wow, that's amazing. Of course, I give him assistance when needs be, but a lot of times I just sit back and let him do. I'll come and I'll show him another way. Let him do. Let him reason for himself. And it's beautiful to sit there and be able to experience these things instead of, like Akoi said, when you're out on the job and you're just gone all of the time. And you're never there for these moments when he takes his first step. When he says his first dad, when he says his first mama. You're not there for. See, those things are more valuable to me, riches in the world. All the monetary wealth in the world cannot touch the value that I have placed on my family. Because I understand in family is all the riches. That's where all the wealth is, in your family. Believe it or not. That's where it is. If you can see it, the wise will understand. All the wealth is in your family. That's where it is. All the richness. You know where it starts? In your family. That's exactly where it starts. That's the nucleus. In your family. So in the spirit of Sukkot, in the spirit of building temporary dwellings, in the spirit of always being on the move, in the spirit of always knowing that there is someone over us. Powers is over us, but more importantly, delegation has been put down. So where power say, yes, I'm over you, but guess who's over you? Israel is the Kohanim, the priesthood. They're over you. Utilize that shelter, utilize that covering, utilize that chuppah for your benefit. Utilize it. Those that will be totally blessed. Upon blessing, because you're meeting everything that you desire for yourself. Opposed to those who don't. They'll stumble and fumble, maybe struggle here and there. Maybe even leave, because I know a lot of folks that are not here no more. Maybe they'll even leave, and so be it. But that's just, that's it in a nutshell. Mishpah, what do you have to celebrate this? If I ask you this question closing, what do you have to celebrate this day? What do you have to rejoice in this day? Some of you may give the, general statement, I have the Torah, Rabbi. Deeper than that. Torah is deeper than that, right? So when you take it to its depths, when I tell you to get to the grits and the greens, and I ask you, what do you have to rejoice in this day? Why are you so glad this day? Why are you this day? Why are you celebrating this day? This is the question you need to ask yourself. And when you know it, that you know it, then maybe you can write it down. But that's the question that you need to ask yourself. Why truly do I celebrate? Why am I celebrating? Think about that for a minute. And it may vary. There's no wrong answer here in this part. It's self. But I celebrate richness in all aspects, to the very root of richness. I celebrate it. Because you can have richness in every area of your life. You are heaven, Mishpah. When you under the covering, you're under the covering of this Torah, you have what they call the heaven on the earth, because that's what heaven really is on this earth. Come on, Mishpah. When all these nations come and pay homage in the future, where are they going to? They coming from this earth, and they on this earth, and they going to a geographical location that's on this earth. Surprise, surprise. They're not going to heaven to pay homage, Mishpah. Not get that mistaken. So the thing about it is, family, is that I want heaven, and my desire is that all of you have heaven on this earth now. And truly, who do I have to thank for that? I have the Kohen to thank for that. Rabbi Simon out there. He's given me heaven. He has given me heaven. And you know what he's also given? He's also given me hell. Right? Because now I understand that there is no hell. You know what I mean? I didn't know that before I came. Always thought. My whole thing was that I want to go to hell. Now I realize there's no hell. So our Kohen has given it the understanding to know that there is no hell. You know what I mean, Daniel? I mean, that was one of my biggest stumbling blocks. My life evolved around not going to hell. I didn't have time to even have desires, man. Because my desire was not to go to hell. What kind of desire is that? What kind of desire is that not to go to hell, not to go to a fictitious place that was made up? A lot of people waste all their energy, periods of their life. They waste all of their life on that, Mishpah. Yep, there you go. The temptations are heaven right here on this earth. Hell is different than Sheol, correct? Different. Yes, way different. Because contrary to popularity, and I thought you taught on this, is that when folks pass on, you don't go up, you go down. You go down. There's levels that when you go down, you don't go up. You go into the earth. From the dust we were formed, and so from the dust we will return, right? So we go down. We go up anywhere with these wings and flying everywhere and blah blah blah, and go up to this city in the sky and all this. Oh, you go down. Well, shit. That's a big misnomer that's out there amongst the, majority of the human race. And they waste their whole life, Mishpah. They don't have time to be mobile. They don't have time to build a house because they're too worried about going to hell. They can't build a house. They can't build a temporary dwelling because all of their dwelling is on this hell that they do not want to go to. And they're taught, in fear to, spend your whole time trying not to go to hell. What a waste of a life. And who has really, I'm telling you, that's why I tell you, our Kohen has given me, he's put hell in my hand, and I threw it in the waste. I threw it in the bin. You see, now I can go on. Now I'm free. When somebody said freedom, I'm free to go on and fulfill whatever I desire out of this life. Whatever's going to give me happiness, because I want to be happy. Whatever's going to give me peace, because I am. Whatever's going to give me joy, because I love joy. And whatever's going to give me happiness. That's it. That's it. It's not about religion. That's another form of shackling right there in itself. No. When you build a religious house, you can't move. You build a religious house, guess what? You're going in circles. And a religious house becomes a permanent dwelling. And it just keeps you going in circles to where you don't have time to pack up and move to another location. No such thing in a religion as a temporary. No such thing. A religion is a permanent dwelling. And it's a house that you don't want to be in. How many of you come out of a religious house? I'm going to put up a capital R on that one. I come out of a religious household. I'm speaking from experience. I'm telling you what I know. You don't want to get in a religious house because it's a permanent dwelling. And you realize that the house just does not stand. It just don't stand. And you can't move. And you're restricted. That woman just said, ran out as the fire burned it down. Indeed, set fire to that religious house. Indeed, set fire to it. Ruach Hashem. So, you're in a religious house, you know exactly, you have a reason to rejoice. Ruach Hashem. You have a reason to pray. Because now you have a covering. And it's a permanent covering that allows you to build temporary dwellings. Because you're always on the move. And you're always moving. You're always moving. It's great. And that's great. That's beautiful. Indeed wonderful. And that's what life is. Life is wonderful for me. Not many people can say that. And when you say that, people around you, they'll look at you like you're some kind. You say, man, life is wonderful. They say, what the hell? Like, where you live? What the hell? How you going to say that? When all of this corona is going on and people are dying and you say life is wonderful. Because life is indeed wonderful. I give gratitude. I don't have the coronavirus. I don't test positive for the coronavirus. I am healthy, Baruch Hashem. You give gratitude and thanks. But humanity, for the most part, mentality is to focus on the negativity that fuels them. You know what I mean? They're fusing the focus on the negativity around them to where they can't see the tree, the road for the trees, because, oh my goodness. And they can't never get on their road to success, to richness. Richness in health, richness in mind, richness in material, richness in peace and love and joy. So this is where we are. So indeed, yes, we do have a reason to celebrate. And I lift up the Torah this day as I will lift it up every day. I will lift up the Torah above everything. Everyone. And I give thanks for Hakoli for giving me those keys. He gave me the keys. My right hand, he gave me the Torah. And the richness and the fullness of life. And in my left hand, you know what he did? He put hell there with all the negativity and all that. And I was able to just take that and just throw it in the bin. And just like y'all woman to just burn it. You just burn it. And it be gone. And now that freed up both. Now I look at my both hands in front of me, and it freed up for me to understand, just like Yeshua ben Yosef said, the kingdom of heaven is where? At hand. And I got two hands to work with. My kingdom of heaven. Baruch Hashem. Believe me, my hands are on the move. So on that note, I'll say Shabbat Shalom, and I'll say Shalom Shalom to you all, and I'll say Hi Shemek to all of you. Enjoy your festival and festivities, and remember, celebrate and rejoice. Truly rejoice. Rejoice. Because we have reason to rejoice. Truly have reason to rejoice. Again, I rejoice, and I say celebrate. So the goodness of life. Celebrate it, Hakolim. And celebrate with Hakolim. Because I'm with Hakolim. Come Shiloh or Sheol. I'm with Hakolim. That's just what it is. And even after that, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. He's taking me from strength to strength. I'm going to leave you on that note. Just like Moshe said, be strong and be strengthened. And go from strength to strength. Not strength, but strength to strength. How can you be strong during these times of blah, blah? The times of blah, blah, blah don't matter, because strength is strength. You're strong, and that's just what it is. We're strong, Mishpahah. Celebrate, rejoice in your strength. What holds you up? What secures you? What protects you? But this Torah. And it's just not just the Torah, because the Torah, a lot of people have the Torah. You see, you know what differentiates and the reason why you really rejoice and jump out of your shoes? Is because now, we have the Torah, but the instruction of the Torah is what's key. And there's nobody that can touch Rabbi Simon out there when it comes to the instruction of the Torah. Why? It's because he's a priest. I mean, I've heard many different interpretations of the Torah. Yet, interpretations of the Torah the way Hakoi teaches the Torah. Anybody vouch for that? I mean, think about it for a minute. Interpretations of the Torah. So it's not just the Torah, but it's the teacher behind the Torah. It's behind it. It's the instructor, the counselor behind the Torah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there teaching this book. Go listen to them. A block put them on YouTube. We're going to truly teach the very essence, the spirit of the Torah. It's only going to come from the priesthood. The sons of Aaron. Rabbi Simon out there, done it. I'll never leave or forsake Rabbi Simon out there. I'll tell you that right now. That is what it is in a nutshell. But, you know, you all need to consider that going forward, because I'm telling you, I have never in my life I am this day. Never. In my 50 years on this earth, I've never been this in my life. Never. And I'm only getting happier. I've never been this free. I'm telling you. I've never been this. I mean, think about this for a minute. I mean, it's something you need to think about. Meditate on this during this, our high, holy days. Think about, think about that for me. Consider these things. Take from it what you made, and leave what you want to the side. But I tell you this, that's affirming this, and that I'm a witness to the very statement that I made, because I lived that statement. So I'm going to keep moving from strength to strength. I don't know about you, family, but I'm going to keep moving from strength to strength. And I'm going to keep meeting my marks and making new marks. And watching and waiting for my markers. Because there's a lot of markers out there. I don't want to miss them. There's some, but I'm going to be, believe me, discerning, my discernment antenna up to really follow those markers and go through and follow through to meet my mark. So on that note, I'll wrap it up for the Shabbat. You guys have a excellent festival of Sukkot, and go sit out in your sukkah and contemplate and meditate where you want to be and be there. What to do and do it. Over to you, Akohi, and we'll wrap it up for the Shabbat. Love you and leave you in the mighty hands of the powers of Israel and of its priesthood.
Atrada for that, Rabbi Kefa. I want to give you two sides of the coin, and maybe you guys are not aware, but there is a little conflict going on in the East between two nations. I think these are old nations and not new nations, and there is a little war going on between them, and one is called Nagorno-Karabakh, and the other one is Azerbaijan. Well, of course, Azerbaijan is the nation that controls, or at least claims control over this Nagorno-Karabakh region, and they are actually having a conflict, a war right now with Armenia. So, Turkey is on the side of Azerbaijan, of course, and maybe some other people on Armenia's side. So there's a lot of firepower being, done this time. Right now as we speak, they're actually fighting each other on the border. On the other hand, whilst this little war is going on in the East, on the other hand, there's this young Chinese billionaire called by the name of Nancy Jiang. She is a Chinese businesswoman, and it was reported about her that she sold her Sydney triplex, her apartment in penthouse apartment in Sydney for something like $15 million. She's a youngest Chinese billionaire. So, you have two sides to the coin. You have a conflict, a little war going on between two nations in the East, and you have the youngest Chinese billionaire. So what does that tell you? That tells you have two choices. You can be part of the war, you can be fighting with hell, or you can be in paradise, like the young Chinese woman. So you have those two choices with you. you can be a billionaire too. Don't think that $1 billion is only reserved for this rich Chinese girl. There are many billionaires in the world, and there's nothing that stops you from getting there. Don't think that your skin color is going to change that, your accent, where you live, where you're brought up, none of that changes it. Because if you look around yourself, you will see billionaires by your own, of your own color. If you think that black people can't be billionaires, look around yourself. Oprah Winfrey. And there's others around you that are billionaires. So you can also be a billionaire. Like I said earlier, set a unrealistic goal. Set an outrageous goal to be rich. Not just to be rich, but to be mega rich. Set a goal to be mega rich. And then if you get to 70% of that mega richness, you got there. Technically, 70% is great. It's a great result. If you wanted to get $1 billion and you made $800 million, would you regret that? You say, no, that's perfect. It's great. Because you'll use that $800 million to generate maybe $1.6 billion. You double it up. So you never think, oh no, this is not enough. So you always got to set, don't think realistic goals. Think outrageous, think outrageous because you can. So, don't think like the rest of the population. Because they're all stuck with, oh, I don't want to go to hell. Oh, I should do this prayer to avoid hell. Don't think like the rest. I went to a village recently and I met a young girl and I asked her what she wanted to become. She was studying. And I said, what did you want to become? And she told me she wanted to become a doctor. So I started to talk to her and I started to explain to her that that's a great field. And I said that you should do X, Y, and Z and you'll get there quicker. And I said, what do you want to do after that? She wants to specialize. I said, even better. I told her that you should specialize. And I told her that the amount of heart attack cases in Pakistan that are appearing and blood pressure cases and people eating all these oils and fats, I said, you got a whole bunch of patients already lining up to come to your clinic. So I said, definitely get there. And this girl belonged to a poor family. I sat in her house, and her house was one room, and the roof was made of wood and, what you call that, hay and clay. That was the ceiling. That's what the ceiling was made of. Yet this girl had the aspiration to become something that, around her community, nobody else was. They're all living in similar houses, some with better houses, of course, and some with not so better houses. But it's not who you are, and it's not where you live. And, when I inspired her to what she could do, she, had a smile on her face. She was happy to hear that I encouraged her. I said, yes, go there and get it, and you can. I said, if you want to, you can. Nothing can stop you from that. And she was like, we don't have people in our community to guide us. I said, well, if you need guidance, just reach out to me and I'll help guide you where to go, which universities will take you and which won't. So the point being is that a lot of people in this world today, a lot of people, not just this young girl, a lot of people are without guidance. They don't know where to go to get their aspirations met. And so they struggle with that. They really do struggle. And, this week alone, I put another family for a study degree in MBBS. I put her for that. Through my guidance and instruction, the family just registered her in the university. So point being, 2 people I spoke to this week, one's already benefited, the other one will benefit as well because she's not yet ready to take an admission because she has to pass certain exams before she can. But my point is this, look at the difference between me visiting 2 families and one already in admission and one ready to go in maybe 2 years' time. And both will become doctors. But the point is this, that it's the right guidance. I remember I was telling her that when I was becoming an engineer, software engineer, I didn't have the guidance either. So I went to the university, I spoke to the head teacher over there, speaking to different people there, what to do and which courses are best for me at the time. And I had the same issue in my family. In my family, nobody knew how to get, into an engineering course. because nobody was an engineer at the time. So my point was that don't worry, this has already happened with me. I've already been there, already done it. I have the T-shirt, and I can, guide you the same way as well. Where to go, who to speak to. I know all of that. So 9 times out of 10 in your life, the hardest hurdle is going to be guidance. You may have information sitting before you. The Bible is sitting on every Christian's shelf today. I mean, ask yourself that question. The Bible is sitting on every Christian home. In fact, you find it in practically 99% of homes. But what is it doing there? I mean, they read from the Gospel of Luke, the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Matthew, and they never, get beyond the good news of Jesus saving their life. That's their good news, basically. Yet, the Bible has a lot more to offer, and what Jesus taught, half of them, I would say 90% of Christians, in fact 95% of Christians don't even follow what Jesus of Nazareth taught. They are clueless about that, 95% of them. And whether they like it or not, the truth is that their pastors are equally clueless. They don't even know how to interpret half of the so-called Gospels. When it talks about manifestation, when it talks about desire, when it talks about manifesting law, they turn it around and they make it spiritual, and they are sending people to hell over prayer, and they are sending people to heaven over a prayer. Yet, the reality is this, that there is no house up there in the sky for me or you. The houses are down here, and we've built them for ourselves. And so when we go into the beyond, we're going to come back again in another body, because our bodies will be dead and buried, and we'll come back again in reincarnated bodies. So that's the problem. The problem is this, that Christianity is so far away from the truth that it's not even possible to bring them back. So it's best to let them go in that direction. And so only to initiate people who can understand, who can try, who can see, who can, feel. And then they can know for themselves that what is being taught over here is true. And Israel is truly benefited for that. Israel is truly benefited because they know the truth. They know how to action it and execute it, and that's where the buck stops. How do you execute knowledge? When you have knowledge sitting on your shelf and it's not being executed, your knowledge is worthless. But when that knowledge that's sitting on your shelf, you can execute and even 10% of it, you have a gold mine. You can mine that gold over time, and you can acquire everything in life. Nothing says that you can't. Nothing in this world says you can't. Why does God say to people, why does God say, don't say I am weak, tell him I'm strong. It says to the weak, tell the weak I am strong. Why? Because it's what you believe and what you action, what you execute. Execution is key. Our festivals are markers for our execution for these things, for our desires, and for us to be with our families and to be joyous and to be happy, so that the rest of the time we can be happily manifesting. And when you manifest, you manifest your desires. That's why we created. We created and put in the nations, so we'll be a light to the nations, and we are a light to the nations. This is the light that a lot of people don't have. The light is not, Jesus saved you and say this prayer and you won't go to hell. That's not light. That's actually darkness, because they're teaching you negativity. They're focusing you on the negative, and they want to keep you in the negative. And when you come out of that negative, you will never look back. You'll never say, how do I do this? You will always know how, because you'll be in the light. And the light is this. And this is the light, that you receive everything in your room that is right. And this so-called Jesus that has come for the people, he died, he left. Is a nice myth. You could keep believing in that myth, but we've already rejected the myth. We follow the truth. We don't follow mythology. So you need to focus on your desires, that the powers that we serve, the God of Israel, He is your supplier. And that's all you need. You don't need these third parties, Jesus, You don't need other people around him to supply your needs, because your needs are being supplied already. And you already seen facts on the ground, truth on the ground, how it happens. Because how many billionaires do you know that are going to church today and sitting in a pew? Ask yourself that question. And how many billionaires you know that are building hospitals, schools, synagogues, and mosques? Think about that for a second. How many billionaires do you know? And you will know the truth, and this is the truth that will set you free. Because we are a light in the world. And there's not many of us here, but those of us that are here, they're definitely going to establish light, because each one of us is a multiple of families, and multiple of families will set the standards that many will follow behind us, and we will continue to march forward as Israel always did, and the dogs always barked, and Israel always continued, and we will continue to march on, whilst the nations look at our face and say, "What a great nation! What a wise nation! We wish we were like this nation." Where does this wisdom come from? Well, this wisdom comes from the Torah. Once you have the Torah, you learn to execute it, and you acquire the wisdom. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, for this wonderful time, for this Chag HaSameach to all of you, a happy festival, a very happy new year that is upon us, a civil year, a delightful, a sweet, and a happy, and a prosperous year that we're going to embark on, so that all of our lives will be fruitful and benefited, that we can look back, we can have great families, and look forward, we can have great families going forward, great children, and we're going to leave a legacy. This is the great thing, that each one of you will leave a legacy for your children and children's children. And that's something that other people can't say for themselves, because they are still about saving themselves from hell. And we don't have time for that, because we know what hell is. It's a myth, and it's something that's created to scare people and put fear in their lives and negativity, but we don't go there, because we are created for paradise, and we are the people who are going to be reestablished back, as Yahweh has said, as Abraham lives, as God said to him, as he said, as Yahweh lives, and he told Abraham, he says that as Yahweh lives, I will fulfill this in your children and your children's children, that you will receive these things. And it is already becoming true. It's already true. So we wait, and we continue our lives in our exile, and we give thanks and we give gratitude. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Have a great week ahead, and Sameach Torah is going to be, of course, Simcha Torah is ahead next week. I believe that will be probably Sunday and Monday. So we'll meet next week and then continue from there. So in the meantime, Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to you. And Rabbi Kefa, I do have the lecture, so I believe I could probably utilize one lecture, but you can still send it to me just in case if there's any glitches. But I believe I do have the full lecture, so I can utilize it. Todah for that. And Shalom Shalom.